Let's take a look at our top selections for Dan Illman, Mike Buer, taking a look at race number 10 at Gulfstream Park on Saturday. Let's throw up the field for the $75,000 Tropical Park Oaks. We're going 1 mile and a 16th on the turf for 3-year-old fillies. And Mike, there are some talented runners in this race. The 2 Stunning Sky, graded stakes winner. The 10 Speak to Me of Summer, graded stakes winner. And it's possible she could have won another graded stakes or 2 with a little bit of luck. You've got a European Invader in Lindy Lou and a couple of other nice runners, including the upwardly mobile Vigilante's Way. This should be a fun race.
Yeah, it's a very interesting race. It's a big field, so trips and pace are going to be very important. And just a lot of horses coming from different directions. As you said, a lot of horses sort of maybe on their way up. They do have to face a couple of fillies that already have the graded stakes credentials. Personally, I have no problem with either Stunning Sky or Speak to Me of Summer. I'm a little bit tired of those 2 horses, so I thought, maybe you look for a new face in this race, but they are the 2 horses to beat, it feels like.
We take a look at the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US having a little bit of problem figuring out who's going to exactly be on the lead. You've got the 5-horse Virginia Beach, who I think is going to be forwardly placed. Blue Mistress, the 7, tried to go gate to wire, just missed by a nose, 2 starts back. And the 8 American Giant, a horse that to me is more of a stalker, but Wind Racer has speed as well. And even Vigilante's Way, the 4, can get close.
Yeah, agreed. 2 of the horses that they have up there, that Timeform US has up there on the pace, feel like horses who can't really win this race. We'll see what their connections decide to do with them, but it feels like plenty of horses who could be forward in this race.
A sleeper might be coming from the back of the pack, and that's the number 1 Secret Time, who did some decent things in France as a 2-year-old. She was Group 3 placed, and she's now had 2 starts in North America for a very good trainer in Arnaud Delacour. And last time out, she finally seemed to put it all together in the Sellers Shiraz. She came with a decent late run. She's yet to run on firm going. I think that would actually move this filly up. She is going to have to move up, however, because this is a tough edition of the Tropical Park Oaks.
Yeah, it's not an easy race. She does look okay to me, though. I thought she was interested in this race, Dan. Her form in France was fine. Her first start off the layoff over here, I thought she ran okay in that race. I mean, I thought she had like a bit of a trip early on, and then once they got into the stretch, she didn't really run. But I can make an excuse for that race, and I thought she ran pretty well last time.
You know what you're going to get with Stunning Sky, and it's usually a rock-solid performance. Buyer's speed figures in the high 80s. Throw out the last race. She's not a dirt horse, and they ran her in the Mrs. Revere. 2 back in the Valley View. She got the right pace setup. Let's watch that race right now. There was some hitting in the early portion. She is widest. She still has a lot of work to do at the 3/16 pole, and she's going to go by him late. And this was a good field that she beat, but she did get a setup.
She did. This was a good field, though. It sort of, in a lot of ways, felt like an overdue kind of win for her, maybe one that she deserved because she'd run really, really well in some better races. Just you can see her just grinding and grinding, Dan, and finally she gets there at the end. Again, I have no problem with this horse. She tends to show up and run well every time. I'm just not that much of a fan.
Wind Racer last time out ran at Tampa Bay Downs for Jack Sisterson. It was her first start off of a little bit of a layoff, and she never really got a breather on the lead. Let's watch that race right now. The fractions weren't fast, but she took pressure every step of the way. I thought she was pretty game to finish 3rd. She can certainly take a step forward off of this race. Now she's got to prove she's a stakes filly.
Yeah, I agreed that she was under pressure all the way in here. The problem with, trying to use that as any kind of excuse is the horse that was pressuring her is the horse that won the race. Bird's Eye View just sat right there to her outside. Bird's Eye View, when you look her up, I feel like you won't be that encouraged by it. I think she's something like 3 for 35 in her career, but she's actually pretty good. She's very consistent. She's right there all the time. So that's not a terrible loss by Wind Racer last time. This is a filly who I feel like is going to take another step forward in here.
The 4 Vigilante's Way just seems to fit the Shug McGahee profile, doesn't she? Just a late developing horse who's just going to keep getting better with maturity. Let's watch her effort in the Winter Memories last time out. She was the beaten favorite in this race. She got up close to the pace in the Phipps Silks Cherry and Black. And this is her. She doesn't change leads in the stretch. I wouldn't expect her to change leads on Saturday. She tries. I have to admit, I was a little disappointed with this race.
Yeah, I loved the ride that Johnny Velasquez gave her too, Dan, because Duopoly, the horse that wins the race, was the horse to beat, and you knew she was going to the lead. And so Johnny just went sort of up there with her and kept this filly up close all the way. Went up to challenge that horse around the second turn and just couldn't get by her at the end. I didn't think she ran poorly at all. But I guess you could be a little disappointed that she couldn't even hold second in there. Still, I feel like there's a lot of upside here. When I was all done with this race, I sort of felt like she was the horse to beat.
I think she is, just simply off of the figures and the fact that she's got a versatile running style. And I'm just curious to see her back on firm ground. Hopefully she gets it. She really looked good in that race at Colonial Downs, albeit when controlling the pace. Virginia Beach controlled the pace at Laurel, 2 starts back sprinting, gate to wire effort against restricted Virginia bred competition. They ran her in the Sellers Shiraz last time out. She was kind of in a little bit of a pace dispute and tired. She's going to have to do better.
Yeah, she's hard to like out of that Sellers Shiraz last time.
Coming in from Europe is the number 6, Lindy Lou, Lasix on for Arnaud de la Cour. And this is a horse who's not coming off of a long layoff. She ran in October in an okay listed stakes race in France. It's just not like she was the most prolific winner there, and she wasn't facing the best of the best. Usually you would think, okay, a listed stakes is fine for a horse like this, but this listed stakes kind of grades out as a graded race.
It's a pretty tough race for them to come over to run in. And you're right, she's fairly exposed at this point. So you just sort of wonder if she's one of those imports who's really going to take to American racing and take a big step forward, because it feels like she'll have to.
Blue Mistress switches to Joe Bravo, almost stole the Martha Washington Stakes at Gulfstream 2 starts back. Last time out, she couldn't make the lead, going 7.5, chasing outside. I think they're going to get forward. She's eligible for a non-winners at 2 Life.
She's done her best since they've bumped her up into these little listed stakes races in her last 3 start days. She couldn't hang on to any of them, but she actually ran okay all 3 times.
American Giant was no match for Vigilante's Way, 2 starts back over yielding going, but she rebounded with the win at Gulfstream last time. Let's watch that Sellers Shiraz race, and Paco Lopez gave her a pretty nice ride in here, got her close to the pace, and she's just going to draw away once she gets to the front. The Sellers Shiraz was an okay race, but just this is a tougher spot.
It is, and she got such a perfect trip in this race. I thought she ran well, but the trip I thought made all the difference. That's secret time there down towards the inside. You saw her sort of have to come through between horses in the stretch and then chase this horse home. I guess it's pretty close between them, Dan. I wanted secret time out of that race and not American Giant.
And a horse coming out of that race as well that might improve a little bit is the 9 Mo of the West. You could go back to that stretch replay, and she ended up finishing 5th in that race. She just did not have a good start. She had too much to do turning into the lane, and she's lightly raced enough for Mark Casse that I think you can at least project some improvement.
Yeah, it feels like getting so far back early in that race really worked against her, and that hadn't been her running style leading up to that race. So maybe they'll get a better trip out of her this time.
Speak to Me of Summer won the Grade 2 Lake Placid at Saratoga in July. She was unlucky in the Sands Point. I know the winner of that race, Tama here, is very, very good and kind of inhaled them all from the outside. But it looked like Speak to Me of Summer was running an upper stretch and just ran right up onto heels. And then once she got clear of that heavy traffic, she was flying late. And last time out in the Winter Memories, Mike, it looked like she got steadied again in upper stretch.
She is pretty good. You're right that some of the trips haven't been great for her. I mean, she definitely had trouble in the Sands Point 2 back. She wasn't going to win regardless. I think she finished right where she was going to finish, but she ran well that day. Last time, I didn't see the excuse for her. I thought overall, Joelle Rosario gave her a really good trip. And she just never sort of made her presence felt in there, but she's better than that.
Let's talk a little bit about Ask Bailey. I think Ask Bailey's kind of an interesting horse in here, Mike, because, she won a race at Canterbury Park. She won it easily like she was supposed to as the favorite, but I think her recent starts are okay, including that race at Churchill Downs where she was running at the end. Give this horse some pace and she'll come with a kick.
Yeah, I'm concerned about what kind of trip she can get in here because she doesn't have any early speed at all. And she's sort of like, she looks like sort of a big one-paced kind of horse. But I personally think she was best last time. I thought she ran really well in that Churchill race last time and just couldn't quite get up. But I thought that was a really good effort without a great trip.
More Than Unusual completes the field, and we're going to watch her last race at Keeneland. Consider that this is only her fourth lifetime start. She's got a world of upside potential. She's going to ease herself off of the rail and come with a nice run to finish second. She goes out for the great Brad Cox barn. And I think even though she's stuck in a really tough outside post position, she has enough tactical speed where maybe she can get forward without losing too much ground on the first turn.
That's going to be key for her to see if she can do it. But you're right. She has really good tactical speed. So maybe she can overcome it. I like all four of her races, Dan. I thought she ran really well last time. You saw once she got out into the clear that the winner, Great Island, was already there to her outside with the momentum. And that horse is actually pretty good. She came back and ran a good second last week at Gulfstream Park in a stakes race for Chad Brown. So that horse is okay. This horse was good winning 2 starts back. She had an impossible trip at Ellis Park and was probably best that day back in August. This filly's pretty good.
Yeah, she's bred to be a nice horse on the turf, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a coming out party for her at a nice price. And that's where you're going to go as we take a look at our top selections in here. More than unusual, the 12 for Martin Schwartz and Brad Cox.
I'm going to hope that she gets a trip from post 12, Dan, because she's going to need it to beat this kind of a field. She can't afford really to make any mistakes, but I like all of her races, and I think she still has upside. And as we already sort of talked about, Speak to Me of Summer, Stunning Sky, they can both win. I'm a little bit tired of those 2 horses. And Vigilante's Way, I think she still has something to prove, but she might be the horse to beat.
It's a fair point about Stunning Sky and Speak to Me of Summer. And maybe the last time was the time for Stunning Sky. I just know what I'm going to get with her. It's probably going to be a useful late kick with a buyer in the high 80s. And that just might be good enough to win a really good edition of the Tropical Park Oaks. Mike goes with a price, 12-4-1-3. I go 2-4-10-11. Best of luck.